Greetings, 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 everybody. Welcome to this special edition of the Keblan Awakening series in conjunction with Kumbukeni. Today, we are down under with our brothers and sisters from the Bundjalung community. We are going to be talking about
Bundjalung Nation.
The Bundjalung Nation. Okay, I get that right.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking about the self-determination, the case with the ICC, for all the nations to unite, and also we're talking about the child custody issues that's going on in Australia. But first and foremost, as always, my name is Oladile Dosum. I'm the co-founder of the Emerging Keblan, and you all know what we do on our platform is we're here to decolonize the minds and awaken our consciousness, basically waking up people and tell the truth as it is for people to know what's going on in the world. And that's why it's a great pleasure to bring our Bundjalung Nation brothers and sisters on our platform today. My sister Anduku.
Yes, asanteni, karibuni na asanteni kwa kuwa nasi. That is Kiswahili, that is welcome and thank you for being with us. The name is Nduku, I'm the host on Kumbukeni. What we are going to see today is our history, our migration throughout the globe, our brothers, our cousins who moved to the lands that are now known as Australia, and what has happened to them that is very similar to what has happened to us, to see the commonalities between us and the reasons and the need for us to stand together to fight this common oppressor that keeps exploiting and oppressing us. So I'm looking forward to today's conversation.
Thank you. So if Brother Stephen, if you want to go first, just introduce yourself, just an introduction.
I'm Steve Roberts. I'm one of the elders from the Widjabul tribe of the Bundjalung Nation. I just want to talk about the ICC, about our people that's been to jail and been murdered in jail, and the DCJ, that's the docs from in Australia, taking our kids away.
Okay.
And talk about our land that's been taken from us.
Thanks for the introduction. Uncle Terry.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. My name's Terry Walker. My tribe's is Wailable and Ngulibum. And I'm one of the Bundjalung as well. I'm also the interim chair of the Bundjalung Nation Elders Assembly. And yeah, so that's who I am. And I'll be talking just a little about history and sharing a family song with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my brother. And Cindy.
Oh, Garama Bugabe. My name is Mebangari Cindy Roberts. I'm a Widjabul woman of the Bundjalung Nation, and I'm here to support my elders first and foremost. And I'm a representative of my elders. I'm the first contact representative for my for the Bundjalung Nation Elders Assembly, and I'm here to support and to talk about all the issues that we are discussing today.
Thank you very much. And my sister Regina.
Yeah, my name's Regina Moran. I'm a Bundjalung Nations woman as well, and I also do Stop Blackness in Custody Australia.
Fantastic. Welcome on board. Okay, if you want to go first, my brother Stephen, just give us a brief introduction of why we're here.
Well, what we're here for is to talk about the custody and the trauma that's been put through to their families, and plus the DCJ. DCJ is that's when the children's been taken away with white communities, and also
Department of Community Justice.
Department of Community Justice. Thank you, Cindy. And also, we talk about land, the land that's been taken from us, And this is what we sort of, without land, we got nothing. They've taken all our land away, hunt. They give this, there's a thing they call native title. They set this native title up, the government, and they gave so many thousands of acres back to our people. But our people they didn't understand that they can't build on it. They can't live on it. They can only camp on it and hunt on it. That's how they caught our people. So now we're going to go further and fight and get our land back from that government. Thank
you.
Terence.
Yeah.
Terry. Your way.
Yeah, I'm there supporting these guys, obviously. But yeah, I sort of just wanted to let you know about a bit of history and do a song for you.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yaway.
Okay, I'll get into it now. It was a song written by me and my dad, and it was just history, like, before white fellas come here and when they came here and what has happened and where we are today. It targets the Aboriginal men or Bundjalung men. This song is named Bundjalung Bagel, and that means Bundjalung men. And the verses are in English, they're self-explanatory, and the chorus is in Bundjalung, and I can explain that at the end of the song. But this is a bit of like a history over the last 200 years, over 200 years, 250, 60 years. And so it was, I asked my dad about, about our family, the Walkers from Wallable, and about their history and how it was for him growing up. And then, we went from there, and he created most of the words. And then when we spoke, he also was a Christian man too, my old man, both my mum and dad. They passed away now. But so I just thank goodness that I got something from them, that I can carry on with my kids. I've got 9 children. And so we just quickly go into the details of the song. Dad wanted to recognise, like in the first verse, we talked about the 1840s, because that's when the massacres started taking place up here in our country, Bundjalung. And then that happened all over the place, but it happened in different stages and different times, in different parts of because we come from the biggest island in the world, obviously. But so what happened, this goes from the 1840s, goes through to the 60s. And in the 60s, Dad wanted to recognise the elders that fought for our rights, back in like the 1800s, since colonisation. So he recognised them, and it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't be here today. So we're recognising them. And in the second verse, and the last verse is just about us now, like trying to preserve our culture, our heritage, and continue it on for our children. So I'll quickly just get into it for you. It goes like this. You roamed your land for a long, long time, with peace and harmony both entwined, living off the land your people own, with your laws and your rules within your elders' throne. In the 1840s, the English came, with their laws and their rules which are not the same. Death and destruction in your eyes, taking up our land till it's hard to survive. Bundjalung Bagel mala, Bundjalung Bagel with the Kalamala de la Mala, Bundjalung Bagel. Bokolana mala with the Bokolana mala. Mamang babarang alela wini wutta bukala na malay. Hey, well, you were forced to live the white man way, with bullets and blood that paved your way. Wasn't a letters equals in the white man's eyes, under segregated laws even after you died. Hey, well, in the 1960s came a change at last. Oh, thanks to the elders from your past. People you loved and respected so you could live as equals beside your foe. Hey, Bundjalung begal mala Bundjalung begal wala kala mala gila mala Bundjalung begal. Bukala na mala wuta bukala na mala. Mamang babarang alela wini wuta bukala na malay. Hey, now what the Bundjalung men are standing here today, learning about the old ways, as the Bundjalung people lived before. So my culture, my heritage can be taught. For our children's future, I will pray, and it also depend on what we say. We teach them culture, heritage true, so our ancestral spirits can come through. Hey, Bundjalung begal mala Bundjalung begal wala kala mala gila mala Bundjalung begal. Bukala na mala wuta bukala na mala. Mamang babarang alela wini wuta bukala na malay. Hey, Bundjalung begal mala Bundjalung begal wala kala mala gila mala Bundjalung begal. Bukala na mala wuta bukala na mala. Mamang babarang alela wini wuta bukala na malay. Bundjalung begal mala Bundjalung begal. Bundjalung main mala Bundjalung main. Wuta kala mala gila mala Bundjalung begal. You here, you there, you everywhere. Roaming your land, just like you have been for 1,000 generations. Bukala na mala wuta bukala na. Be good, mala, you be good. Mamang babarang kalela wini wuta bukala na. Father up there is watching you. Your way? Yes.
Yawai,
Yawai.
Yawai.
Yahweh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Garama Bugabe. Thank you, Uncle Terry.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Uncle Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Terry.
Cindy, I see you getting emotional
I
there. I
get
can see you
very,
getting emotional.
yeah, it, because it's
Very
our
powerful.
story, you know, and to see the struggle, you know, we were only having this conversation like the other week, and I don't like speaking over my elders because the younger generation will never know the pain and the struggle and the fight, you know, that they have been through, and that only our elders can tell this story. And because we haven't lived it like them, and they've been through more than. That's why I don't like when people disrespect our elders, because their story, this generation will never know, you know, what pain and suffering and the trauma that is upon their lives and what they've suffered through colonization, through colonial destruction. And only they can tell this story, is why I respect and I love my elders so much. I always admire and respect, and I love to listen to their stories, their songs. You know, it's really important that we listen, you know, to them, and for them to give us that guidance to continue to do what we have to do as the next generation. And yes, I do get very emotional when my elders, you know, because I know everything comes from their heart. They speak the truth, and what's been handed down to them has been given to them by their, you know, their ancestors, and now it's been handed down to us. And yeah, it's really, yeah, it's inspiring to me, you know, that we've just got to carry on until we achieve what we are seeking. And I think it's justice. I think it's our land back, our children returned, all the deaths in custody to stop in this country because of who we are as a people, you know, and we're not going anywhere. You know, I'm a Widjabul woman and Widjabul will always remain. Many will come and go, but we will remain. You know, the Bundjalung will remain. Many will come and go and visit our country, but Bundjalung will remain, you know, and yeah, so we must continue, you know, to tell the truth, and we must continue to tell the stories. And it's important that why our elders still are here with us today, that they tell their stories, they share their songs, and we have to treasure this because, you know, what we're doing right now, it's history in the making. You know, everything we're doing right now is history. So yeah, it does. I get very emotional.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Karen, do you want to talk about the ICC? What do you want to start with? The ICC case, or what do you want to start with?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about the ICC.
Just
throughout-
quickly, Cindy, just because we are going to honor the elders, I think we were going to start with Uncle Stephen.
Yep. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's
unless he, yeah.
Okay, Regina hasn't spoken yet. That's Regina.
No, Oladele. We were going to start with Uncle Stephen.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yep.
And then Uncle Terry, and then Cindy and Regina.
So what do you want me to talk about now?
Just tell your story, Uncle Stephen. Just tell the story. Tell what you want known. Just say what you want known.
Yeah, well,
tell the world.
Yes.
Tell us exactly. You know, we want to know because a lot of things people don't know. So just tell the world. You know, tell us. Let us understand what's going on.
Yeah, well, what's going on is the government comes in and you know, they tell you they're going to give you this and give you that, but it doesn't happen like that. They talk crap. We've been fighting for land for years. They gave us some land back, parcels of land. That was Crown land. It's the name of it, Crown land. And the Crown land is a little bit of dirt here and a little bit of dirt there. Most of it is all around the river. It's mostly all floodland. You can't do anything with it. You can't live on it, or you can grow your grow veggies and all that. That's about all. And we've been, I said we've been fighting for years, and it's a long fight, and hopefully we can stop it very shortly. You know, soon as we stop it, the better. With our children, I got my nieces come to me all the time. They say, "Pop, can you please learn us our dance? Can you please learn us the songs?" There's certain songs we can learn, teach them, but some of the other songs we don't because we're not allowed. It's only between the men. And all our, we talk about all our sites, all our sacred sites, where government comes in with developers and they want to develop the site where our ancestors been buried, where they used to live and where they used to gather. So all those things, we need that to stop. At the moment, they destroyed a lot of our sites and a lot of our land where our people was buried, and live and building homes on top of them. Estates, new estates. So that's one thing we got to stop, and we've been fighting for years. Council comes in behind our back where they're supposed to tell us what they're doing and which land they selling, so we can walk it and we can be there when they start digging for, so we can see if there's any remains there or artifacts. So we can, once we see that, we stop them straight away. And these are things that we've been fighting for years. Praise the Lord. And our waters, now our hunting ground. We got to ask permission to go and hunt on that property. We got to ask permission to go and fish. They asked us to get a fishing license. I said, where does this fishing license come in? We're blackfellas. We own this land. We don't have to tell you how many fish we can take home. Or we go and get some pippies. You know what pippies is? It's a thing in the shell. It's a thing in the shell in the sand on the beach. They call them pippies. And we get those and we open them up and we put them in the bucket. Well, we take them all in the bucket and bring them home and clean them. And we cook a big curry. Pippy curry. Yeah, so we've been stopped doing that. They said, oh, you can only take one bucket. We should take 4 or 5 buckets. That's our food. That's what we live off. That's blackfellas years and years ago. And we still do it. We go hunting for porcupine. You know what a porcupine is? Porcupine, they got these sharp fins, right? Then we go hunt them. We go and get them. Kangaroos. But we got to go out. Sometimes they got to be on just on side the road and shoot from there. Is that right, Terry? Uncle Terry.
Right.
You listening?
Yep. You're right.
Yeah. Yahweh, you're going to sleep there on me.
No.
So when we used to go and put the net out. We used to go net. Well, the white man showed us how to net, us the skills to net. So we went and bought nets. We done that. We netted the river. We netted the beach. Yeah? What they taught us, we go and do it. What they taught us. Then they go and trying to stop us. Yeah? But we don't worry about that. And do it. Them the good old days. Okay, I'll give that across to you now. Thank you. You all listen to me out there. That's how we live here. It's very hard. We know it's hard over there where you are. We see it. We cry. We hurt. We're in the same boat here. But at the moment, we're not into this bad stuff, killing people. You know what I mean? What we see on the news overseas. And I hope this all stops. It's hurting for everyone in this world. What's happening with our black race? Our black race. Our black race is being treated like dogs. And we are not dogs. We're human beings. It's the same as a white man. But they can't take it because the black people come here before them. And this is what's happening in the world today. There's a lot of jealousy. And it's mainly jealousy of the blacks. We can't give them their land back because if we give them their land back, what are we going to do? They'll run us off our land. They'll run us out of here. That's what they're fighting off. But we don't want all the land. We only want a little bit of portion of the land for our communities, for the future. We got nothing for the future. That's what we're going to look at. Number one, the future. Plus the elders. Make sure the elders are comfortable. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you, Stephen. Uncle Terry.
Yeah, look, I just with what our brother was saying there, I agree with that. Just with the men communities. I mean, they've been incarcerated like I don't know what. They say it's self-destruction, but we used to, before white folks came here, or anyone came here, we were the leaders of our family.
Mm-hmm.
We looked after our women and kids. Now the land's basically all turned into little bits of pieces, like Steve was saying, and they've got like the zoning on them. So you can't build a house, you can't even put a tent on them. We had the biggest flood here a couple of years ago, the biggest flood in about 1,000 years, so they reckon. And our people are still, they're living in, they're trying to survive. I think one of the things that I was told 20 years ago, that like the Aboriginals were the biggest landowners in New South Wales. But what's the good of all this land, being tied up with these zonings, and we can't even put a tent up on it, So a lot of that structure was undone, and it obviously comes back to land, That's where the lady's going to be talking about that with self-determination and all sort of stuff. It starts with land. Everything, like, your language, your culture, your heritage, your identity.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to say that. And I'd like to thank everyone for giving us an audience today. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Terry. My sister Cindy.
I was just I just love listening to them. I'm just gonna get out of this because I'm in concrete walls and it's sort of interfering in the reception. I just wanted to just touch on a few things, like just listening to Uncle Stephen and listening to Uncle Terry of the the struggles that we've had in this country since colonisation, and like the removal of our children, the Black Deaths in custody, and Uncle Stephen mentioned something really, really, it was really, really powerful what he said, and it is because, the attack on all the tribal people of the world and of the globe, capitalising off our lands, off our wealth, because land is equity. And I've got these dogs here. Anyways, and it's really, really. So when Uncle Stephen was talking about, like how he was talking about they give us a bit of dirt here and a bit of dirt there. My old people, when they first lived out, they were out towards Dunoon. Uncle Stephen, what's that little place out towards Dunoon, going out to Rocky Creek, where they had the camp there, the first mission. They had one of the missions out there at towards the Dunoon, at Modenville. Our old people, they had so much land out there that eventually, it shrunk so small that my mum told me the story. Our people started living like they were in a sardine can. That's how much the land they took. So they got greedy and they wanted more and more. And before you knew it, our people had nothing. And then they push them into missions. And they used to be called reserves, and they were once reserves, and then they were given a new title. They were then the reserves became missions, and from there, if you go into an Aboriginal reserve or a mission today, you will see how much land they live in, and these lands are they're like institutions. They're controlled It's like being institutionalized. They're like, you've got this, it's a set zoning area, and this is what they've given you, and this is all you own. And it's made our people because that actually is a mindset. You know, they've actually put our people in this zoning area where it's become a mindset that, you know, that this is all we own, that we own nothing. But when you look outside, because when they created their fences, so when fences were created, that their stated boundaries. So if you was to take away all them fences, then what would, you know, if you was actually to take away all these fences, you would realize how much land we still actually, you know, we own as a people. And I don't believe that I'm just going to just back up a bit here, because I don't believe that we own the land. I believe that we belong to the land and the land owns us.
Yes.
And
That's right.
and that is my belief. You know, I believe we belong to the land and the land owns us, because, you know, this is where we came from. We have a responsibility as, you know, as the tribal people of the world, and of every nation and tribe, that we have a responsibility to look after country, to look after our people, to look after country, to look after, you know, for generations to come. But we have a regime that is out to take everything from us for resources. And the only thing in their way are the black people of the world. They call us black, but we're not black. We are human beings. You know, I remember growing up as a young girl when my grandmother was alive. She never seen color. She never seen color. And many of the old people never seen color. They only seen creation. See, color was introduced when they started calling our people black. You know, they started calling us black people, you know, and but our ancestors never knew color. They only knew creation. You know, you know, being called black was a colonial construct. It was a colonial, you know, word that was you know, put up on a class of, or a race of people. And so with Uncle Terry and Uncle Stephen here today, it gives me hope. It gives me hope that my elders are, you know, that we're still listening to them, that they're still with us, that, you know, they still got their stories to tell. And yeah. And that's what gave me, look, you said that this year was all about telling the truth, right? Well, I'm a spirit woman. So it was actually the creator that gave me the vision and the dream to continue to fight. I was out there I was traveling throughout this country, you know, of Terra Australis, now Australia. You know, we had a name for it. My Uncle Stephen, my mother is Uncle Stephen's one of his elder sisters. And she said, you know what our name of our country was before they named it Australia? And I said, what is it, Mum? Because I never knew it. And she said, it's Nulungu. Them old people, when they were alive, they used to call it Nulungu. I don't even know what Nulungu meant. My mother said it's Nulungu. And I was like, what does it mean? She said, that was the name of our country before they called it Australia. Now, I never knew any of this. So this is the knowledge of our old people, you know, like this is my mum. My mum is still alive. You know, people say, oh, Auntie Cindy. And it's like, I'm not your auntie. I'm your sister. I'm your cousin. You know, I'm your sister. My mum is still alive. If you want to call anybody auntie, you call her auntie, you know, because, yeah. But just things like this. And, you know, I've always been different. Yeah, they call it like the black sheep of the family, right? But I'm the whitest one in the family, mind you. All my brothers and sisters, they all dark, and me, I'm the fairest one of them all. And they used to torment me when I was a young, and they used to say, "Mum adopted you," you know, like when we were growing up, and they used to tease me because I was the fairest one in the family, you know, and so they used to have a dig at me when I was a young girl growing up. But as I was growing up, I knew I was different, because I could see things, and I didn't know how to explain to people, because whenever you were to talk about any of these or you seen stuff, you wasn't allowed to, because today they have a mental health system. So if you was to talk about any of these things, or you could see stuff, or you had, you know, you could hear stuff and you could see stuff, the first thing they would say is that you got a mental health issue. And the first thing they do to blackfellas is they put us in a mental institution. So as I was growing up as a kid, I kept a lot of things to myself, even my spiritual gifts, because I was told that, you know, these things, you don't talk about it, you can't, you know, or if you was to raise anything, they used to say as a child, you know, be seen but not be heard. As I got older, and it was like, no, I'm not going to silence myself up. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to tell the truth, you know, because of that silence. I don't know whoever created it, but they should never ever said that, you know, children should be seen and not be heard. Was something that's how a lot of children got molested. That's how a lot of our kids got raped. You know, there was a lot that went on in our communities. And as a young girl growing up in missions and growing up in a community, I seen a lot as a child, things that a child should not see growing up. And I seen a lot of it. That's why I could speak about it. You know, I seen the abuse of alcohol and what it did when they introduced it to my people. I seen it destroy our culture. I seen the drugs take toll on our people and on the younger generation. You know, I seen now the disrespect towards our elders started, you know, taking place and rolling out because of all these poisonous, you know, these poisons were introduced in our communities to destroy our communities. As long as they had the black fellas sitting down, oh, we'll give you drugs, we'll give you alcohol, just sit down and we'll just take your land. You know, we'll give you all these things and we'll just take your land. So I started to see as a young girl growing up all these things that were being introduced, and the more that they were taking and the more that they were, you know, with our people, they was taking, they was stealing, you know, and our people didn't realize that all these things that they were doing was giving them consent to come in and take more and more. You know, they would get even today you see it, even in the Northern Territory. Now I live in the Northern Territory. I see the government, how they coerce, how they bribe, how they con them up and with money, with ganja, with grog and all of this, and you know, just so they can get them to sign a piece of paper so they can come in and they can take whatever. You know, our people say we own this and we own that. We own nothing. Pardon?
And they use our own kind. They use our own kind as well. Our own people to come into the communities and contract our people into their system over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. And that's
it's
what
been
I
an ongoing process from a child.
Yeah. And this is what I
when
said.
We started seeing. So as a young child, I was removed from my community. My grandmother, if it wasn't for my grandmother was the one that actually fought for us to become. They used to have a child's institution within Lismore. It was called the North Coast Children's Home. So they used to come all the time, and old Mr. What was his name? That old man. I know his name, but anyways, they used to come. They used to come out to the mission, and Nan used to tell me to run because the colour of my skin, I was fair. So they used to come for they used to call us half caste, but we don't know nothing about half caste. All these people, you know, they call us upgutches. Like, I'm not upgutch, I'm blacker than you inside. But, you know, I bleed the same. My spirit's the same as yours, my ancestors, you know. And, you know, when they used to come into the mission, all I used to hear my nan say, Cindy, run. And I used to run, you know. All us kids used to run from welfare. You know, we used to run because they used to come into the mission and they used to try to. But when we used to get taken away, you know, like they used to put us in the institution, that's where a lot of stuff took place. You know, in them institutions, they put us in rooms, they flogged us like, you know, like dogs, like animals. You know, they used to whip us, and I was only a kid. And they used to take us into certain rooms. And, you know, there was times when they put us in these little rooms and people used to come in and they used to molest us and do stuff to us as kids. And today, you know, our kids are still being taken away. You know, they're still doing stuff to our kids, putting us, our children, our black children in white families where these things are still taking place in the system. Our kids are being molested, you know, in the system, you know, with families they don't even know, disconnected from their community, disconnected from their country, disconnected from their culture, and being molested and raped in a system that is owned by the colonizers, you know. And all we ask is, you know, for our children to be returned, give our children back to our families, you know, give our land back because we can look after this country better than any of them. They have destroyed our land for resources. This is all about money. If you can kill off the black man, if you can kill off the black women, the reason why the incarceration rate of our men is so high is because if you can remove the head of the family as a black man, then you can come in for the mothers, you know, you can come in because the mother, she needs that man to help her raise these children. But if you can dysfunction, if you can tear apart a family, the first thing they remove is the man from the family, the head of the family, so they can come in and do what they want to the women and the children. And then you've got trauma. You know, this is a constant, this is what goes on today in real society, you know, in the real world today in this country. You see of all these people, all these achievements. Don't be fooled by the government just because they're putting black people or black politicians at the forefront, making out that because that's all a political stunt. Because they know that there is an ICC case pending in this country, you know, with the Bundjalung Nation. And they're doing, I've never seen them do so much for blackfellas like they're doing right now. But Labor have an agenda. You know, the Liberal and the Labors are no different from each other. They serve the same master. The same puppeteers that have been colonizing and, you know, controlling this world since time began, since they ever started. They are the same regime that are doing that to the black people of the world today. Just because they change seats and they change in don't mean they're not continuing to serve the same master, because they all serve the same master. So, you know, that's a bit and go on and on and on. But with the ICC case, how that came to me and how I met Daryl Egan. He reached out to me, and soon as I found out what he was doing, I turned around and I said, well, let's join. And I, because I was already gathering all my elders. I used to travel throughout this country and I used to unify all the elders. And that was under the tribal, it was under the elders, it was the tribal elders assembly of Terra Australis. And then one day I was out on country and I was praying unto the Creator and unto my ancestors. And Creator spoke, and the ancestors spoke and said, go and help your people first. Go and save your people first before you tried to save anybody else. That is when I started coming. I went back home and I started unifying all the Bundjalung elders, bringing all my elders together to unify them, to bring them together to fight for our country. And that's when the ICC, and then all of a sudden, this man reaches out to me called Daryl Egan. I don't know Wes personally. I only know Daryl. So Daryl reached out to me and he was like, sister. And then he told me that they were trying to put together, you know, a case, and they were working on a case. And I turned around and I said, what do we need to do? And before you knew it, I just kicked into gear and I started unifying all my people, all my tribal elders from every nation, from every tribe of the Bundjalung, to come together to hold the Australian government for crimes of genocide that have been committed, not just back then, they're still doing today, but they have just done it in another. They made it look pretty. You know, they made it look pretty, but the same system that they created back then is the same system that they have created today. They just made it look prettier, but it's the same system. Nothing's changed.
Yes. Destined custody still
nothing's changed.
Still happening.
The death in custody, the removal of our children. No land back. See, native title, they got no land back. If you was to go back and you have a look at the native title that they created, have you ever been to Canberra, the Iraqi? I stormed that building and I wanted to speak. There's not one black person that is in that. It is a white Iraqi system. They control native title. They own native title. They dictate unto my people about what they can have, where you can live, how much money they can give you. Our people own nothing. It's all lies. It's all smoke and mirrors. They own nothing. When I actually see them say, here's your land back, without any contracts, then, it's happy days. But until then, we still got the fight of our life. We own nothing. Not even native title don't belong. Anything that is government owned and government funded, you don't own it. They do. They just use our Aboriginal organisations. They only use our Aboriginal organisations. They're using them. Yeah, but they're using our Aboriginal organisations as organisations of consent. See, in order for the government to move in on any of our tribal lands, they need consent. So they're using these organisations. That's why they keep on building their new. They're organisations of consent.
Sorry.
That's why we got nothing. The Ilya was sitting there, that's why we got nothing. The Ilya is state government.
So the
Now, while Cindy's talking about this native title, all the land they bought for the black fellas, and they don't own it, they tell them they're buying land from them, but they don't explain it properly. The black fellas don't own the land. The government still owns it, and the government buying all this land to mine. They bought all the land to mine. They're going to mine on it. There's coal going through Lisbon to Brisbane. A coal mine.
Yeah. So Uncle Stephen, but this is another thing. When you go through a consent determination, so if the world doesn't know this, all the Aboriginal people, they have to prove who they are and that they belong to this land in order for them to have a native title granted over their country.
What?
We have to ask. So here we are in their system, asking them to recognise us of our own country in their system, right?
Wow.
This is what native title does. So we've got to go into their system, them asking us to recognise, to prove ourselves who we are, where we come from, that this is our country, in order for them to grant you native title. Now, is that right on every level? That is wrong. How dare they come into our country and tell us and ask us who we are, where we come from, who are you, who are they, where do they come from, and what gives them the rights to come into our country and ask our people, to recognise themselves. In order for them to grant you a consent determination, you have to prove yourself that this is you are, that you are Widjable, that you are from this country, that you hold the stories, that you hold the songlines. This is the only way. That's what happens in a native title consent determination. You have to prove yourself that this is your country.
Wow.
That is not right.
And then we also
why should we be?
Yeah, that's right. And we have different levels where, you've got foundations and corporate entities putting up e-commerce petitions and stuff like that. And they use those petitions towards statistics to say the Aboriginal people want this, and that's how they consult. But who polices those identity checks to say, was that an Aboriginal person that signed up to that e-petition to have a voice on those topics? This is another form of how they're murking the waters for representation with our people in each tribe and each area. So there's different forms of how they're doing it and how they're gaining consent and how they're wrapping our people up under these contracts. I mean, we've got the reconciliation action plans that are constantly being pumped out into our Aboriginal communities, and they're wrapping our people up into contracts through that.
I'm going to say this before Regina goes on to speak. For as long as we are asking the oppressor for permission to get back what is ours, for as long as we are asking the oppressor to see our humanity, this is what we're going to get. We have to understand that we have to come to a place where we take it back. That's the only way it's going to work. We have to take it back by force. I know a lot of you don't like me talking like this, but when you are a community,
talk like that, sister.
When you listen to Sister Cindy talking about the atrocities that their children have been put through, and you want to tell me when I say that we need to react through violence to those who bring violence in our communities, and you're all surprised. It is called defense. And these white people are the first to tell you how they should defend themselves when they are attacked. They are the first to gather their militaries and bomb places when they are attacked. Even when there's suspicion of attack, even when there's no truth that they have been attacked, they line up their military aircrafts and everything and bomb places. Yet you, black man, now that they're using that term, we're going to use it to fight them, are here forgiving and forgetting and talking about, I need to have non-violent ways of addressing this. How? And when you do that, that's when you have the trickery that both Cindy and Regina are describing. Because guess what? The oppressor does not want to give you back your land. It is against their interests to give you back their land. Therefore, we all have to organize and get to a place where we understand we have to take it back. How are we going to organize and coordinate ourselves to be able to have the power to take it back? Regina, please go on.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in the city, so I grew up in Brisbane, and you know, as a child, we got sent down to Cabbage Tree Island, my grandmother's community, and my grandmother was a woman that took on other children, nieces and nephews in the family to keep them safe from being removed by the system and placed into care with non-Aboriginal people. You know, and today I'm a foster mum. I've had my nephew, my great nephew, in my care since birth, you know, and the story with his mum was, you know, she was a young woman. Her family, you know, were removed. Her mother was removed. She was raised by my grandmother. You know, and that's generational trauma for the next generation after that. So when Jalen was removed from his mother, I was asked by the family to step up and take on that responsibility, and I did so because that's what my grandmother would have wanted. And this is me and other family members out there trying to keep our kinship together, trying to, you know, have our children remain in country so they can learn their kinship, so they can learn law, so they can learn their country, you know, learn their language. And it's really sad because, like, you know, I'm grateful I took him, and I make sure that he goes down and he knows his mob and he sees his family, and, you know, continues to have those connections to country. But it's beyond words. I mean, the child removal rate for Aboriginal children here in the Northern Rivers in Bundjalung is overly represented on that level. We have many children removed from their families up here in the Northern Rivers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Even the
So, thank you.
even the
Go on, Cindy.
even with the deaths in custody, we've had so many family members that have, you know, like, the trauma there, you know, having our families incarcerated. You know, the percentage of the incarceration, they say we're only 3% of the population, 3 to 4% of the population now, right? And the incarceration rate is 30% of that, you know, of our people. 30 to 40% of the jail system is are the Aboriginal people of this country. And it's just ridiculous. And it's, you know, that there carries a lot of trauma weight, you know, upon families, and all the deaths in custody that have not been told about, that have not been covered. We only hear about so many, you know, that of the ones that are speaking out, but there are a lot that have not been spoken about. We have black deaths in custody every day in this country, and no one wants to talk about it because our country is a very, very large, you know, we are a large continent, and we are many nations. You know, we are many nations. We are many nations and many nations and thousands of tribes upon this continent, larger and bigger than the United Nations put together. That's how many nations and tribes we're talking about upon this continent, you know. So if you was to talk about the United Nations, here we have it, we would outnumber them by the hundreds and the thousands. So, you know, with the incarceration rates, the removal of our children and everything, that was a part of the reason why we filed the ICC case. You know, yes, we do want our land back. We want our children back. We want, you know, I have put this government on notice so many times to remove, you know, because it's an illegitimate process to hold a tribal person within their system. At the end of the day, they have no rights. They have no jurisdiction, because even from beginning of time, from when they first colonised, when they first put their foot up on Kumbukeni-Reclaiming country, they were meant to have consent. They were under strict orders, right, of the Royal Society, which I have all these documentation. They were under strict orders that they must have consent of I won't even call them First Nations, because we are tribal people of this country. So they were meant to have the consent of the Kumbukeni-Reclaiming people. No consent was given. Within 15 minutes of first contact, muskets were fired and my people were shot at. No consent ever given, sovereignty never ceded, and that's still to this very day.
Mm-hmm.
They have never, ever had the consent to establish their penal colony, you know, to establish their kingdom. The Australian government, when they first named Australia is not this continent. Australia is their corporation. It's not the continent. It's not the mass. It's, you know, this is why we continue to fight for our rights today. And the reason why we filed the ICC case is because you can't bash it. You can't keep on bashing them with their own baton of a system that they own and control. They own it. They created it. So why would you want to go and try and challenge them in their own system? But they say it's to better our people. It's not. They're using us as data. They're using us as consent. You know, we're giving them consent to do what they're doing up on our tribal lands every time we enter into a contract with them. Their monetary contract system, whatever it may be, whatever you want to call it out there. They're all contracts to give them consent to walk in and do whatever they want to our people. We are not controlling our own affairs. NIAA, all of that. NIAA, the National Indigenous Australian, Aboriginal Agency. That's the white Iraqi system. That's not owned by blackfellas. Then you've got, you know, native title. That's a white Iraqi system. No. That's not owned by blackfellas. None of all of these government organisations, DCJ, you name it, every single one of them, if you have a look at where they all lead, all the roads lead back to Rome, because all the roads that, if you have a look at all these constructs that they have created, they all lead back to government. They are all government function, government owned, government everything, just dictatorship. It's all, they own it. So every time they... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, also that's why I registered Stop Black Deaths in Custody, because I could see that they were corporising our deaths in custody under different banners, and because I am a First Nations owned business and I work directly with families who've lost loved ones in custody, I often get shunted by the rest of the community, especially the bodies that get government funded, because I refuse to take government funding, you know, because to me that's a form of control, and I actually like not having gag orders placed upon me. I can say anything I want freely, because I ain't, you know, controlled by no one. So I often, because of that stance, because of me standing up and saying, no, I am an independent person, I speak it how it is and I say it how I want, I piss a lot of people off, sorry for my language, but at the end of the day, I'm the only one out there that's telling the truth, because I don't get paid to do it. And it's
right.
just disgusting how this government will throw money out into the community, and they're using our own people now to come up against the same system that they're fighting against. They're now, you know, being paid by them to come up against the ones that are actually doing the work without government money.
Everything we do in this country fighting for our rights, it's not a paid job. Everything we're doing, even with the Bundjalung Nation and the ICC case and all of that comes, you know, it's not a paid job. You know, we work hard around the clock. You know, we if you want to call it crumbs under the table, if we have to scrape the crumbs under the table, you know, in order to achieve justice, this is where we're at. There's no money for people like us that are holding the Australian government into account. They don't like people like me. They don't like people like, you know, Regina. They don't. We are the black sheep of the family. We are shunned. You know, this is how we're treated in this country. We are not allowed to, you know, there's a lot of mainstream media, even Aboriginal organisations, that, you know, like media, you know, organisations that will not tell our stories, anything about sovereign or grassroots, what the grassroots people are doing. You know what? The Bundjalung Nation Elders Assembly is the first nation, tribal nation, as a nation a whole, to file in the ICC, right, for crimes of genocide against the Australian federal government. Now, you think that would be world news. You would think that would be on the front page of the Courier Mail, but it's not. Everything is just hushed up because you're touching their pockets, because they are funded by Murdoch. You know, they control the mainstream media. Everyone's frightened that the government will fund them. When we went through the referendum, everyone thought the referendum. Now, let me tell you something about that referendum. That referendum, everyone was saying, but why are the white people voting? Well, it's their constitution. They must have their consent of the Australian people to alter and amend their constitution to include us in it. We belong to the land. We are tribal people. We do not belong in a white man's constitution. We belong to the land. So if you could take the tribal people from the land and put us in a British or a white, you know, constitution on a piece of paper, then we would have gave away our entire rights as tribal people over our entire lands. And nobody understood that. They weren't going to give us anything. They were actually coming to take everything for us, from the World Economic Forum, from the Wealth Organization. They say the UN is even involved in some parts of this.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes,
so,
they are.
You know, they were.
And the human rights.
Yes, they are. They are posers.
Australian. Yeah.
These are the perpetrators that are moving in for the kill against black people, you know. to take everything from us. You know, when I was a young girl, a little girl, and I used to sit at the mission with all the, you know, all our old people would be sitting around the fire at Gundarimba now. If it was down in Cabo or Gundarimba, wherever they were sitting around. Anyways, I used to sit around the fire with them. Many were Jurung, you know, they'd be charged up, some of them, you know, and a couple of my uncles would jump on the old banjo and they used to play the old little banjo and stuff like that. And I remember them telling me around the fire, you know, this government, one day they'll turn this country into a quarry for our resources. And you know what? I held that in my heart to this very day, because that's what I see. It's not about any of us. We're in their way, and all they care about is money and what's in the land. They only care about the resources and about getting rich, and they will kill the black people off to get it.
Yeah,
That's what I see.
For those of you,
we're in their way.
For those of you who don't understand our interconnectedness, as those of you who are ignorant enough to talk about, I am foundational Black American, I am ADOS and this and that, as if you're not attached to our brothers and sisters and cousins all over the globe. Rupert Murdoch is an American, right? But Rupert Murdoch has Australian, that's where he originates from. He's a billionaire born in Australia, and he controls a lot of what our brothers and sisters are describing today in Australia. He drives a powerful media outlet there that is outputting propaganda and whitewashing the history in Australia. So when you as an American want to call yourself, I'm American, and now I'm looking at the Black Americans, ask yourself what you're associating yourself with, if you want to carry that burden of associating with yourself with what America is doing and what some Americans are doing. So Rupert Murdoch, I don't know if you want to say a little bit of what him and his companies are doing in Australia to inform the people.
Look, all I got to say is I don't like the man. Straight up.
It's good enough.
Pardon?
You don't have to. That's good enough. You don't have to.
I don't like him. I don't like the man, full stop. I mean, you know, because he's no different. As far as I'm concerned, they're all a part of the same system, you know, they are the perpetrators, you know, that continue to oppress the people of this land and, you know, throughout the world, throughout the globe, you know, of all the black people of the world. And, you know, and it's time for all the tribes of the world to unite. You know, it's time for all the sovereign nations and sovereign tribes to come together and stop fighting one another, stop killing one another. You know, we're not the enemy. We are brothers and sisters. We are not the enemy. Your enemy is a colonial regime that wants to kill us off for all the resources of this land, to get rich and for us to become their slaves. I'm sick of being their slave. I don't want to leave this world being a slave unto, you know, a colonial regime. It cares nothing about the black race. I don't. You said you wanted to hear truth. You wanted to hear, you know, I'm just pouring my heart out.
I am quiet because I understand exactly where you're coming from, Cindy. I am quiet because this week I am exhausted. I'm quiet because I'm letting you speak.
Yeah, that's me.
It takes a toll on you emotionally.
That's why I'm quiet. I'm exhausted.
And the worst thing, as you all describe, is that our own people are the ones in the way of our liberation. That's the worst part about it.
Sadly.
Our own people we are fighting. Ignorant people. Whether they know it or not, this is who we are fighting.
And
go on, Regina.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why it's really important to get our tribal structures you know, back again, bring our elders back to that forefront, because we've got people in the city writing policies over our people and locking us into contracts, and you know, we live in they say dual society. We live in a dual we live in 3 societies. We've got the city blackfellas, Aboriginal people that live in the cities, and then we've got the rural Aboriginal people, and then we have those that sit in government positions that could do a lot of things, but they choose not to.
Yeah,
They're too busy
we
ticking
call
boxes to get the funding.
we call that the house slave and the field slave. And the house slave
No, we
always
call-
wants to impress the master. The house slave gets
We
sick
call them
when the
mission
master gets
managers.
sick. Exactly,
We
right?
call,
We call them sorts of people mission managers.
we
That's
call them
right.
mission
Mission
managers.
managers.
Mission managers. They manage the interests of the mission. That is exactly what they are. That is exactly what they are. They
That's a-
manage.
That's
that's-
right. That's
I've got a new
exactly
I've got a
right.
new lingo today. Thanks for that one.
Perfect. We like that one. We're going to go with that one. The
Yeah,
mission.
we're gonna use that
Yeah,
one.
mission
The
managers.
mission is to take over our lands and destroy our people and oppress us and exploit us. And they are the mission managers helping the missionaries.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a
So
good one.
it's a really good one. Let me quickly explain who Rupert Murdoch is. Rupert Murdoch owns News Corp Australia, Sky News Australia, Fox News, Wall Street Journal, The Times in the UK, The Sun, New York Post. And for those of you who are surprised to hear the UK, the colonialist in Australia is the British government. For those of you who don't know the history, the colonialist in Australia is the British government. So his connection to Australia's colonial reality is the media colonization of the mind, as our sister Cindy was describing. Now the people think that the only land they own is the Aboriginal missions. Because they have been taken away from the community intentionally. So they don't get to sit with the elders. They don't get to hear the stories of their history. So all they know in these missions is the walls around them, because they are not connected to the original community, right? He is running a large campaign against the Voice referendum on giving Aboriginal peoples a constitutionally recognized voice to parliament. He's pushing that, right? He's protecting mining and land exploitation. That is what he and his entities are doing. They're shaping the international perception of the Aboriginal peoples of Australia through their propaganda and the media. They're weaponizing racism and culture wars. His outlets consistently racialize Indigenous people. You see this in the United States. This is not something that you all should. You see this in Africa, right? Traore now, the president of Burkina Faso, is a terrorist, according to them. That's how their media spins that. To us, he's a hero.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
when
right.
When an Australian breaks the law and goes and gets their children, according to the oppressor, they're a kidnapper. No, they're a hero. They rescued their children from the real kidnappers.
Yes.
So we have to, and this is the importance of having Kumbukeni, the Imaginal Kebulan, and many other African outlets telling our story ourselves, allowing our brothers and sisters to come and tell the true story, what is actually happening, so that we can counter. We say it all the time, our job is to counter the false narrative. You think it's a joke? This is war. Countering the false narrative that Western media puts out is part of the war. And it must be done consistently and repeatedly. So this is what we are doing here today. Please tell us the journey. And you're going to have to forgive me, because I will speak about I will speak about the ICC, and I'm happy that you've gotten there because of your journey to the ICC is why this is a global conversation. But you can only go so far with the ICC, and we're going to talk about that. But tell us, what was the journey? How did you all get here? What challenges did you face before you got to the ICC?
The journey, the hardest journey was unifying our people. You know, bringing our people together and trying to decolonize the mind of our people. The hardest battle, the biggest struggle that we have with our people is changing their mindset about the government, because our people, a lot of them believe that the government cares about them, and that they sorry, I'm just plugging in my phone, charging it. a lot of our people, especially, they got a lot of trust in government, where there's only so many of us that have no trust in government, but are willing to challenge the government. And so the biggest struggle that I found myself was to unify, to re-educate, and to try and decolonize the minds of our people, and you know, waking them up to a system where it's not real. Everything that you see, it's not real. You know, they're throwing out all this hush money to hush our people quiet, just like the good old days. They used to give them grog and ganja and everything, but now they give them money. You know, I remember when we were growing up in a community, they used to say, you know, that the love of money is the root to all evil. You know, my people never used to be about money. They used to look after one another. They used to care for one another. You know, you'd always be looked after. You know, you didn't have to worry about your children, or you didn't have to worry about anything. You know, they just looked after one another in a community. You know, you could go anywhere, you know, anyone could leave, and are the kids right? Yeah, the kids are right. You know, you had all these tribes that looked after one another's families, that one another's children. There is none of that today. We have lost our way as a people. They don't care about one another no more like they used to when we were Jarjums growing up. We have lost so much in this country from colonisation that has divided our communities and our people. And our people have lost that. They've lost that fire. They've lost that love for one another. You know, that caring spirit that we used to have, you know, being harmonious. You know, our people used to live in harmony. You know, we cared about so much, and now it's about self. It's about themselves. You know, there's many times when I wanted to give up and I wanted to walk away. There was many times when I just wanted to take my own life and just give up and just walk away. But, you know, Creator and Spirit kept speaking, keep going for your people. That is why I continued with the ICC, because I care about my people. I care about my country. And, you know, I will not let this government, I will not go down without a fight, you know, for my people and for my country, for my brothers and my sisters. You know, I would die for my people. Many times I wanted to just take my own life and just, you know, exit this world and just, but I just, many times, I just, you know, I just stopped, and then and I just call out to the Creator and says, give me the strength, just give me the strength for another day to fight for my people. I don't think a lot of people realise out there, you know, what we go through fighting for our country, fighting for our people, for justice to be served. Knowing. So when I put together the ICC case, my brothers and my sisters, when I put together the ICC, I never left not one stone unturned. I even included the documents of first settlement where they fired muskets. I've included everything of all the massacres of the Bundjalung, probably many that have been told. There's probably hundreds more that we don't know about, you know, over generation, because they done this. There was this time gap. There's this time frame where they erased the memory of my people. There's like a time lapse, because when I look at my old people and think it's like they forgot so much, it's when they started removing the children at a early age. So when they started putting them in these institutions and missions, and they started, you know, they started, how can I say it,
You can't.
colonizing their they started reprogramming their minds. You know, I remember my mother-in-law, she passed away at nearly 100 years of age. In the
Cindy.
mother passed away nearly 110, so they got to see the whole happen in the Northern Territory on the, you know, and I remember her on a ship down on the Daly River from out, you know, Daly River in the Northern Territory. So she was.
Cindy,
you're cutting out.
Sis.
Yeah,
quickly.
just move to another.
You're cutting
move to
out.
another place real quick because the connection there is not good.
Move to another area.
Yes, and then while you do that, we can
Yeah.
have Regina and Stephen and Terry speak while you find
She
another
was-
location that has a better connection.
Pardon? Is that better?
Just no, you need to move to a separate location where you were before.
Is that better?
Talk.
It's really bad there, sis. You're going to
The
have to
reception?
move somewhere else.
Okay. Is it the reception?
It's really bad.
That's better actually.
Yeah. Let me
Yes.
find it. Let me find a place. Wait there.
Yeah. While Cindy's
Let me
finding a place,
find-
Regina, do you want to carry on talking?
So when she was
Okay.
yeah. So when she was
Cindy, let's
When they
have
were
Regina
removed from
speak
Daly
while you're
River.
finding.
Cindy, just
Go
let
ahead,
Regina.
While she's doing that,
go ahead, Regina.
Go ahead.
yeah, I'll show you a photo. This is a photo of my grandmother's brothers, and this man here, this is my mother's oldest brother. He's like 85 now, and they're her younger brothers down there. But these men here, they are my grandmother's brothers, and they were the last men of our tribe that went through initiation here in Githabul. So we're 3 generations behind those men right now, and a lot of our stories and that were passed down are slowly becoming lost. You know, because we're losing our land, we can't go and access those areas to continue to do the initiations and put our women and our jarjams, our children, through that law. So that's what we're losing over here. This is what they're taking from us.
So we have someone in the audience who asked what the ICC is. The ICC is the International Criminal Court. Oladele, can I be heard?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. The ICC was established in The Hague, the Netherlands, by former colonizers. There were no African people, there were no Black people at the table when this institution was formed. It has rarely pursued crimes committed by Western powers. You have all seen the crimes that they have committed, like it's a joke, it's laughable. I have never seen the United States indicted by the ICC. I think Malcolm X brought them up. No, I think he brought them up to the UN, but the several cases against Black people in the United States have been brought to the ICC. The United States continues to do what they do, which is why I say the ICC is useless. The benefit of the ICC is it gives you a global space to talk about the crimes being done to you, and therefore you reach your people, and now you have an ability to do something with your people about it. The ICC reinforces a false narrative of justice. Going to the ICC can give the illusion that justice is being pursued while nothing material changes the affected communities. It legitimizes Western legal systems as the only place where truth and justice can be delivered, sidelining indigenous or African systems. I say this all the time. For us to reach liberation, for us to get the repair of the harm that has been done, we are going to have to set up the court based on our laws, based on what we think is a crime against our lives. That court will have to be ours, based on our cultures.
Yes.
That is the court that we need to organize and create. So as long as we're going with their court, think about it. The oppressor builds a court system and laws in that court system. and then you as the oppressed are going to depend on that to get you justice. No. It is a global space to make your story global so that we can all be aware of it, which is what is happening today, and I'm very happy for it. And you may be able to get some traction. For example, getting the kids back might happen, right? Things like that. Small changes to policy that you need right now so that you can continue the fight, so that you can have the valve, the pressure valve can be loosened a little bit for you to breathe, right? That's what you may get from the ICC. But pursuit of liberation, do not, it's not going to come through the ICC. It's slow, it's bureaucratic, it's expensive as hell.
Yep.
And if you don't have
Yes.
lawyers who are willing to do it for no pay, it is hard to get there, right? There's a limited scope of justice. The ICC only focuses on specific types of crimes, like war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and you have to prove it, which is why our sister Cindy has done a great job of showing exactly from back then what was done against them that can prove war crime, crimes against humanity, and genocide. And they determine what genocide is. For example, Namibia has been fighting for a long time to show that what was done to them, our brothers and sisters in Namibia, is genocide, right? So that is who the ICC is. I hope our sister Sinovia Indigo, I was able to answer you correctly, but you can do some more research. Here's the thing. Go to ChatGPT. It's free of charge, the basic ChatGPT. Enter, generate for me the history of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, how it was formed, when it was formed, and who formed it, and the specific purpose of why the ICC was formed. Remove all Western, imperialist, white supremacist bias and false narratives from the results. There you go. There you go. So do that, and then you will find out exactly who the ICC is. Regina, go on, please. Or Uncle Stephen or Uncle Terry, any one of you want to say something?
You want to chime in, Brother Terry? Who wants to talk?
No,
Uncle Terry.
I'm just like, you learn things every day, and like I enjoy this conversation. So yes, I'm just quite content at the moment, just listening. It's good.
Thank you, Uncle Terry.
Yeah.
What about my big Uncle Stephen? How about you?
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to you, and I learned a few more things. What's happening? Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
And also, what I would like to say before you go on, Duku, and this is basically as original indigenous people all over the world, because I hate using the word black because we're not black people. So the indigenous people all over the world. What our sister, brother and sister telling us is basically what's happening to all of us. It's the same playbook all over the world. And what Cindy and Regina's narrated is basically the divide and conquer, where we're using some of us, to work against ourselves. So they don't have to be there. We are the ones gatekeeping for them. Basically, we're doing the work. We're basically doing their work for them. And how do we get here? Divide and conquer all the time. It's always one of us against ourselves all the time. We keep doing this. It's the same playbook. When you go through history, it's the same thing. So what we need to do, we need to wake up, guys. I keep saying all this all the time. Our participation in the colonial system is what's giving this legitimacy. If we stop participating and stop being capitalist minded, basically capitalism is one of the biggest problems. The fact that we got hooked into that, I want to just live like them and be like them. It basically takes away from our freedom. Because if we don't fit into that, we don't feel valued. But we can do better. We have, this is why we need to fight for our land. We need to fight everything that is indigenous to us, for us to be able to connect and do what we need to do. We are at war.
Yep.
We've never stopped being at war. We've been at war for a long, long time, and so many of my people are just being comfortable knowing that some of them don't even know they're in a war.
Yeah. Yes.
Like Cindy and Regina both said, the biggest struggle they have. And Cindy, when you said it, I was smiling with my brother because that is the same
because
struggle
we know
we have.
we're
It's
saying
the same
it's the same
struggle
thing.
we have, uniting our people and decolonizing their minds, because they think the white man's bread is the best bread since they think the sun shines out of the white man's behind. This is our people.
Yeah.
When they see very well the sun shines from the sky, but they're looking up to the white man for all the answers. Unfortunately, this is the biggest struggle in getting liberation, is our own people, and the stupidity and the reprogramming of the minds that has happened.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just trying to.
So tell us now, because we are at an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, we need to round up.
What do you want? What do you want? How can we, your fellow brothers and sisters, your cousins from the other side of the waters, how can we help in your pursuit of liberation?
Unite with us. Unite with us as sovereign nation. If we can have all our tribal brothers and sisters from every nation and every tribe across the world uniting as one, like our brother said, the indigenous people of the world, we see that even in America, we see the injustice of our indigenous brothers and sisters there in America. No justice at all. So we all need to start uniting as all the tribal nations and tribes of the world coming together, as a sovereign, because we are the rightful crowns. They call it the crown, they can call it whatever, but we are the rightful crowns. We are the rightful queens and kings of our countries. We hold the crown. As far as I'm concerned, they have no crown land here. As far as I'm concerned, my people are the crown. And if you want to, I'd like to see them try and move me off crown land. It's like, well, we are the crown. And that's why when I always get phone calls and messages, Cindy, we want to go and camp out here on crown land. And it's like, well, do it. Who are you? That's your country. You are the crown. Go and move on your land. See, Uncle Stephen, I'm just going to take a couple of steps back here. I just want to go back in time here. Uncle Stephen mentioned about the native title, and he spoke about the Iluwa. What the Iluwa is a trade agreement. It's the Indigenous Land Use Agreement. So that is what, when we talk about the Iluwa, they call it the Iluwa, the ILUA. It's an Indigenous Land Use Agreement. What that actually is, this is why when I was talking about the native title, how they give you a consent determination, you got to go into their court system and you have to prove that, this is your country, this is where you come from. But in order to get that consent determination, you don't get the consent determination unless you sign the contract, which is the Indigenous Land Use Agreement, which is a trade agreement. So what you've done is that they recognised you as the Indigenous or, the tribal people of your land, but you cannot trade nor commerce on any of that land. And that's where they got that's where they got conned and trapped. So you signed away your trading and your commercial rights.
That's right. And Githable Nation, where I live right now, perfect example. We have consent to determination here in Githable Nation. The title was given to us as the Githable people. And as soon as we won our native title, we then had to do the Iluwa process, the Indigenous Land Use Agreement process, and then that locked us into a contract. And now we can't even create businesses or put infrastructure on our land because we're locked into that contract now.
Because they don't want you to create wealth.
That's right.
They don't want you to trade. They don't want you to create any wealth, or any equity from your own tribal lands. They want to control it all.
I got cut off. I got cut off before, and I didn't realise, but I kept talking. Now, with this native title land, with the Heelua, that's why they set the Heelua up, the state government. Now, our people don't know, they don't understand, but I keep going out and I keep ringing them and I keep telling them, don't sign the Heelua. Don't. If native title, if the government goes there, want to set up native title, tell them to go. You don't have nothing to do with them. Because the land use agreement the government's put in place because they are going to mine on their land. They got that land, they bought the land for the blackfellas to mine on. That's government. Got nothing to do with the blackfellas. Okay?
The
You got that?
the whole entire system was set up to fail for our people.
That's
The
exactly
system was
right.
created.
Yeah.
It was set up to
Yes.
fail.
They
So-
say the Aboriginal people will benefit from it. Look at Northern Territory. Look at Western Australia. Look at all them. What they done to them. They ripped them off. They ripped the blackfellas off.
They ripped off all the black
See how Cindy was talking about the about the alcohol. They take the alcohol in and get them to drunk and sign.
Same
Well,
thing they
that's
did.
exactly what they yes.
Same thing they did on the motherland. Same thing they did. Same thing they did.
Yes.
The same exact thing. So
I'll
here's
tell
what
you.
I'm gonna say.
Can I just say one thing before we finish up?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you how they introduced native title into this country. Right, there was a case. It was the Mabo case. Uncle Mabo. No disrespect unto the Mabo family or any of those from far north Queensland and from the islands. But in order for them to bring maritime law onto land law, they had to introduce a native title was created through their system, through their court system. So it was given the name native title. When Uncle Mabo's not alive to tell the story today of what took place and what actually happened and, what was signed off and everything like that. But they needed access to our lands through native title, and the only way that they could use it is that they used the Mabo case against our people to bring maritime admiralty law onto land law. See, Uncle Mabo was he's a part of the Torres Strait Islanders, right? So he's one of the tribes of the Torres Strait Islands. Majority of the Torres Strait Islands, as you know, are PNG descendants. So, and many of those that are a part of our mainland. Some of the islands, Uncle Mabo was a part of one of the islands that are a part of the mainlands, but many of the other tribes that are married in, it's through the children's, through the children bloodline that have the connection to mainland. But through that, the government used Uncle Mabo's case for them to use, and that was our admiralty law was introduced because they needed to bring maritime admiralty law onto mainland, and that's how they used it as a gateway. They used the Mabo case as a gateway to enter and introduce maritime law, admiralty law onto land law, and that's how native title was created. It wasn't Uncle Mabo that gave it the name native title. It was actually the colonialist. It was the system that actually gave the name, but the people behind it were the Iraqi. They knew exactly what they were doing, and that there opened up a doorway. But this is the thing. The tribal people of this continent never gave consent for native title to be introduced into this country. It was only for the Mabo case only. But yet it gave a doorway to bring it into. So that doorway gave consent for admiralty maritime law to enter upon land law. See, we are under land law. We are under land law. We're not maritime. We're not we're not under admiralty law. And our creator and our ancestors, you know, we abide by the law of the land, you know, and we come under the law of the land, not the law of man. And this is where we struggle with native title, because, and this is why native title needs to be overturned, because no one ever gave them the consent and the permission to introduce native title. It was only one case, but yet everyone ran with that one case. Because why? Because it overturned, Uncle overturned terra nullius, meaning no man's land. And that there was the good thing, that there was a good thing, but that was the only good thing that came out of it. The rest of it was, now we've got to deal with, we just opened up a gateway for Admiralty maritime law to enter, to come on to land law. It gave them a gateway. It was the doorway.
Cindy, you keep saying Iraqi. What is Iraqi?
The Iraqi.
Hierarchy.
The Iraqi. Sorry.
It's just the accent.
We just got slang here.
Oh, you mean the elites?
What?
The elites.
Yeah, the hierarchy.
The elites.
Basically,
The Iraqi.
Okay.
Yeah. Broken English here. We got broken, you know. We got our own language here. We got broken.
English is the colonial master's language. You do not have to be good at it. Good for you. Good for you for having broken English.
We call it whatever. We call it whatever we want.
Woman.
You are liberated in your tongue. Good for you.
Yeah, 100%. But I was talking about the Iraqi, you know, and they just continue to control until our people wake up.
Yeah.
You know, our people, and like I was saying before, I don't want to be repetitive, but they keep on thinking that the government cares about them when they don't, you know. And to all our brothers and sisters out there, or to all our tribal, you know, nations and tribes out there throughout the world, I just want to say, don't ever trust government. You know, we need to be looking after each other. We need to unify as the tribal people of this of the world, and you know, as the sovereigns, as the rightful crown, because we are we are the crown of our own country, and we don't need anybody dictating to us, telling us, like native title, saying and asking us to recognise. It's like, how about you tell us who you are and where you come from? You know. But this is what they did. I couldn't believe it when I first was introduced to native title, and it was like, why are they coming here asking us, right? Asking us who we are and where we come from. And I was just like, and that was the only way that you can get a consent determination. It was like, so to me, native title is nothing but kaka paper to me. It means nothing to me.
And that's
as far as I'm concerned. Yep.
That's exactly how we all need to move. And I've said that a lot of times. Everything that they have set up is null and void to us. We were not a part of it. We did not agree to it.
Yeah, let her speak, Uncle Stephen, please.
Yeah, go on.
No, you can go on, because I am going to get a few minutes to say something. So go on.
Well, look, I would like this. I really would like to see this go through the ICC. It's native title crap, because it's taken a hell of a lot of land away from our people. Now, they promised the people, they got the land, but they don't own the land. So I would like to see this go through the ICC too, because otherwise nothing will happen if we don't fight for it.
Go on.
Now you're right.
Well, that's exactly why we're all on here today, because we're here because we need to unify as a people. Yeah. And like Sister was saying before, the only way we're gonna take it is by force.
Yes.
And if they ain't gonna listen to the tribal people of the world, you know, it's time to unify. You know, they talk about God's army. We are God's army.
Yeah.
You know, and we are the tribal people of the world that need to unify as the sovereigns, as the rightful crowns, and we need to come together, because the government, The government are going to continue to do what they're going to do to the next generation, the generation after, if we don't stand up today.
All over the world, they're doing the same thing.
We need to put. We need to put through the ICC. Put the native title in Canberra, the government, on notice.
They've all been put on notice. They've been served many times.
But we need this done through the ICC.
The ICC have got a copy of everything that has been done in this country.
Yeah.
But like Sister was saying, we can't just be relying on them. We have to continue to unify as a people.
Yeah.
You know? Now, I was just thinking about it. I just want to say something to the world out there. I don't know who these listeners are, but I just want to say to all my tribal brothers and sisters out there, you know, when they come to, even to all my African brothers and sisters that are living in this country, Sri Lankan, Indian, whatever, Malay, American, whatever, you know, whatever native background or whatever your heritage is, you just remember that this is Aboriginal land. And that we just ask that you unify with the tribal people of this country, you know, because at the end of the day, the enemy is not us, the enemy is the government.
Ooh.
The same battle and the same fight that you have in your own country, wherever your heritage, wherever your background, because I hear about the immigration going on, you know, and people are talking about the influx, and now the immigration in this country is outrageous. It is outrageous in this country right now because, you know, we can't even look after our own, and yet the government continues to bring more people in, and we can't even, you know, if you can't look after your own, why bring more people in to cause more chaos, you know? We've got homelessness. We've got so many people living on the streets of Australia now. Today, you know, everyone's lucky to have those that have a home are very blessed and lucky to have a home in this country because of the migration. So all I can say to all of those out there, all my brothers and sisters from many cultural backgrounds, remember that you're on Aboriginal land and respect the first, you know, the Indigenous people of this country, the tribal people of this country, because at the end of the day, we need to be unifying as a people, because my people are not the enemy. We are not your enemy. And this is what has been portrayed out there, that, you know, don't go this native title crap. We didn't create native title. Native title was created by the government. All of these government constructs, all of these, you know, all of these constructions, all these government concepts and their constructs was, you know, created by the government, not by black people, not by Indigenous people. Sorry about them. So I just wanted to say to all of them, they unify with us.
Yes.
Unify. You know, stand with the tribal people of the world. You know, because many are still suffering out there, and we should be supporting one another, not putting one another down, not putting, you know, killing one another off, because you're doing exactly what the system wants us to do. If, you know, if our people can kill one another, then, you know, they turn around and say, oh, that saves us doing the job. They're doing it for us.
Yeah, that's exactly what they say.
Yeah, that's
so,
what they say.
You know?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you so much, Uncle Stephen. Thank you so much, Uncle Terry. Thank you so much, Regina, for joining us today and sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Through the pain, but you told the story as it needs to be told. And to those of you who've heard, and it's very important what Cindy said, when you go there, to the Kenyans who are immigrating to Australia for jobs, to the Nigerians, to the Black Americans who are going to Australia for jobs, respect the land and know that it belongs to the Aboriginal people. You are a guest on that land. So respect them and stand by them. When you see the government going against them, do not stand in the way. The same applies here on this continent in the Americas, but that's a conversation for another day. And we will have that conversation. When you get to the lands, respect those who have allowed your black skin to be accepted in those offices. That's it. Respect those who paved the path for your black skin to even be allowed on the plane that brought you to that place. So I'm going to say a few things before we close, and then we can have last words from everyone. I'll try and run through it quickly. For those who say that we should forget, how do you forget when Aboriginal children are still being stolen from their families under state-sanctioned policies, just rebranded as missionary care and child protection? How do you forget when mining corporations are desecrating sacred lands, backed by state power? How do you forget when indigenous people are over-policed, over-incarcerated, underserved, and blamed for their own pain? How do you forget when governments refuse to return land or acknowledge genocides, but are quick to criminalize those who speak out? For those who say move on, those who say let us focus on today often mean let's protect the status quo. They want peace without justice. They want healing without truth. They want silence so that they can go on enjoying their stolen privileges. But we cannot build a future by denying the blood on the floor, the blood in the land, the blood of our people that was shared for our freedoms right now, the little freedoms we enjoy today. To Africans, to indigenous people saying forget the past, to the elites in our communities who look like us. If your house is burning, do you focus on painting the walls or putting out the fire? If your child is being abused, do you say that happened yesterday? If the colonial system still owns your resources, distorts your culture, and dictates your borders, what exactly are you forgetting? You're still in the war. For Aboriginal peoples and all colonized peoples, you are not a victim in need of pity. You are a survivor of war, a warrior of memory, a living archive of resistance. Telling your truth is not dwelling in the past. It is breaking the chains of propaganda, invisibility, and denial. Justice begins with memory, and memory must never be compromised for the comfort of the colonizer. Your anger is a compass. I will say that again. Your anger is a compass. It tells you something is deeply wrong. Let it move you to action. Let it fuel truth-telling, coalition building, and the dismantling of the colonial lie. We do not forget. We do not move on. We move forward with the truth in our hands, our ancestors in our hearts, and justice as our destination. Peace to all Aboriginal people.
Thank you. I'll read
Garamabugo.
Okay, before you all give your final summations, I'm also going to add my 2 cents to it as well. This is an appeal to everybody around the world. We need to decolonize our minds. One of the biggest challenges facing every indigenous people out there is trying to participate in a capitalist system that's working against us. We don't see the evil in the system because we're basically looking for the trinkets and the mirrors that it brings as benefits. But sadly, it's detrimental to our collective communal benefits. We cannot continue to participate in a system that's working against us. Most of us don't want to accept this. We don't want to realize this, that this is the biggest challenge we're facing. Capitalism is detrimental to indigenous people because at the end of the day, the people who suffer the most is us. We are the ones who suffer from all the consumerism, exploitative habits because they come to our lands, they desecrate, they kill us to take the benefits away from us. And then they take it away and they basically leave ruins of the land. That's basically, they mess up our lands. So we have no water, our agriculture is compromised, everything is compromised. They leave ruin in behind. Yet we, indigenous people, are still looking for the white man as a solution to our challenges. We need to wake up. We need to basically wake up. You know, a lot of us, we keep saying this on this channel, on this platform. We're at war. We cannot use the same system that used to colonize us to bring solutions to us. It's impossible. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I just hope people wake up. Capitalism is not working. We need to go back to the land. We need to go back to Ubuntu, community. And this is the appeal that our brothers and sisters from Australia, this is what they're saying. We say the same thing. Anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure. I just want to final words for every single one of you, one at a time. Just give your final words before we go.
Yeah, let's start with Uncle Stephen, Uncle Terry, Cindy, and then Regina in that order. What do you want to say as your closing words?
Well, really, I would like, and where are you at?
I am in the criminal colonized state of the United States.
Okay, where are you at, brother?
I'm in the UK at the moment.
Okay, I would like you to Get in contact with more of the sovereign people. Get in touch with more of the sovereign people, communities, cities that are sovereign, and get them to pull us in under their wing too, like what you
Unite
are.
us.
Yes. So the more we get, the better we are, and more stronger we will be to work against the government in Australia. We've got to have backups. You haven't got backups, you got nothing. So can I ask you for that favour to try and hook us up with more sovereign communities or towns around America?
To the best of our ability, yes.
Yeah, and I spoke with a white friend of mine in Sydney. He been him and I worked together, and he'd been helping me out. And he said to me to tell Cindy and Regina to get in touch with Israel. Go back into Israel again. He said, once you get hooked up with Israel, you're not yet. No. Okay.
He lied to you, which is very typical of a white man. But yes, he lied to you.
You don't even want to go there.
Don't.
Okay.
No.
Right.
That's a no-no.
We'll stay at it.
They are colonizing the peoples of Palestine in Israel.
No.
They're doing the same thing that is being done to you. They're doing over there to the peoples of Palestine. So no, that is not.
No.
Okay, we'll
don't listen to what the white folks say, Stephen. Don't believe in what they say.
Run! You heard what Cindy said. Nana said, "Run, Uncle Stephen, run."
I'll leave it to you. You hook us up with rest of the sovereign people over there.
Thank you very much.
And here's the thing: by you coming to Kumbukeni, I know on Kumbukeni we have about 2,500 plus followers. Our brother Oladele has 5,000 plus. I have 1,000 plus on Twitter, and each of those people share these videos, right? Many of those people share. So your story is going to reverberate and be shared across the world. And back where I come from in Kenya, they have cell phones and they're watching YouTube on cell phones. And when I speak to my people, I speak about the shows that we do. So you yourself have reached out to the people of the world and asked them to take you under their wing. So that's what
praise the Lord. Thank you.
Yes.
And before I head off, I would really love, if people can come onto the Stop Black Deaths in Custody social media sites on Instagram and TikTok and educate themselves about what's happening here in Australia with our incarceration and deaths in custody.
Share them. Regina, you see right there it says private chat on your screen. Do you see where it says private chat?
It's one of those.
I'm just having a look, Dawn.
There's a messenger, and I think it's next to it.
Okay. No, I can't see.
Yeah. So just put yes, exactly, and put their Instagram links and their Facebook links so that people can follow. Please.
I've put it on the.
Yep, that's it. I've
stood it in the screen. So please, they're on Instagram and TikTok, guys. As you see this, please follow. Please, thank you very much.
Let me find them and continue. Okay, I'll find them and share it. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
thank you very
much. No worries.
Uncle Terry?
Yeah, no, I'm like I said, I was pretty happy, content with just listening to the stories.
Yes, give us a final word from you. I'm sure there's something you want to tell the world. Tell us something.
That's what I feel too. Like a lot of our people, even just when we were talking about missions, we a lot of us sort of still got that mission gate closed in our mind. And they're the ones that are sort of going against the other ones, like the ones that want to do something, fight against, like you were saying, the ones that are keeping us, put us in that mission, and that's like government. So, you know, that's, and what Brother Steve was saying, you know, we need to, you know, support each other, you know, the Indigenous people all over the world, you know, and if you can, help us with that, that'd be beautiful, you know. But I enjoyed today, and because sometimes you get that,
And thank you for having us.
you get that isolated. You think you're on your own.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You're not on your own, my uncle. You're not on your own.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I thank all the people who's watching this broadcast. You know, I appreciate, like, once again, for listening to our stories from down here.
They need to
Appreciate
come
it.
and sit around our campfires. They need to come and sit around our campfires, and they'd have a good laugh and a good yarn with us.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Uncle
Thank you
Terry.
very much. Thank you, Uncle Terry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uncle Terry. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We wish you all the best as you continue the fight. Sister Cindy, do not give up. Keep fighting. And when you feel like you want to give up, please give a call to Sister Regina, give a call to Uncle Stephen, give a call to Uncle Terry. Send me a message when you feel like you want to give up. Let me respond. Even if it takes me 2 days, I will respond with at least a hug that you can feel from where I am, right?
Send me your details, sister.
Sister
I'll
Regina,
send it to you.
Yes, and Sister Regina has it, so she can share it.
May I just share something before we go?
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want Regina to say something as well.
Yeah, go on, Regina.
No, say something, Cindy, and then Regina will say it. Something. Yeah.
Oh, I'm right. You go first.
Remember, I was telling you.
Thank
I
you
just want to go
very much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cindy.
No, you're right, my sister. Remember, I was telling you about how they put them.
No, you're right. I'm done. Yeah, thank you.
So remember how I was telling you how they put my mother-in-law on a boat and they brought him into Darwin and they put him in a place called Carlin Compound. From that day forth, she was only nearly 3 years old. That they put my mother-in-law in Carlin Compound in the Northern Territory. They told her that she never ever knew she ever had a mother until she was 16 years of age. She told them they didn't know what a mother was. The mother was erased from their memory, from their minds, and they were told they didn't have a mother. So how's that for history?
Yeah.
So this is the trauma that has been handed down from generations and generations. And my mother-in-law passed away with 6 generations, 5 to 6 generations she had. But she grew up, you know, to the age of 16. And when she found out she was like a mother, I don't know what a mother is. I was never told that I had a mother. And so this is why a lot of Australians need to know, and they need to listen, and they need to sit down and have a good old yarn, you know, with our people about what really happened here, you know, what really took place upon this continent, you know, and the stories. And that's just one of thousands and thousands of stories of a woman that grew up not knowing what a mother was. So I wanted to just finish with that because I really felt, you know, that, because she became my mother. The mother that I never had when I grew up in my community. My grandmother raised me up until the age of, I was nearly 6 years old, and then my grandmother passed away. She was my world. She was my everything, my grandmother. You know, I didn't really have a good relationship with my mum until later on in life. You know, we started to bond more and more. But, you know, these old women, they had so many stories to tell and so many yarns. And that is why I wanted to share that story about my mother, because, you know, she never got to see justice. And this is another thing. The first magistrate in this country, in the Northern Territory, was old Mr. Nichols. My mother-in-law was Mr. Nichols' servant. And everyone has to remember, they keep on talking about all the issues of the Northern Territory. Let me tell you, the Northern Territory was colonized 60 years, nearly 60 to 70 years later than the rest of this country. So everyone says, oh, why are they? Because many of the tribes still live traditionally up here, and they're trying to break it through alcohol and drugs. And this is why the Northern Territory is still the way that it is. And a lot of people in this country, they do not understand why your people sitting in the gutters, why are they drunk, why are they this? And it's like, do you not know the history of this country? Do you not know the trauma that our people carry? Do you not know what's going on out in communities? Did you know that many of them are being pushed out from their homelands and got nowhere to go? You know that many of them are homeless and have got nowhere to go. There's a lot of, there's a lot of issues behind, the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. But they got to remember that the Northern Territory was colonized 60 years after the rest of Australia. They're still doing catch up, and there's still many of these tribes up here are still living traditionally, and they should not be interfered with. They should be left alone, and they should be, being able to thrive culturally, and without the interference, of mankind, or well, I shouldn't say mankind, without the interference of government, because government interferes in everybody's business, and they need to now knock it off, and they need to stay out of our business and let us run our own affairs, let us run our own country, do our own business, do our own trading and commercial, so we can look after each other. We can go back to our trading roots. We can barter with each other. And we know how to look after this country better than any white man.
Exactly.
Than any government. We know how to look after our community and our people better than anybody. So let us do our job and look after our own country and our own people, our way, traditionally, tribal. But that's what I got to say today. But I just want to say to all the listeners out there, I love you, mob. Gara mabuga be.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
appreciate you
Love you.
guys. We appreciate you, and
Yeah.
keep us updated. We're looking to bring you back again. So yeah, thank you and thank you and thank you. Thank you for sharing your stories. It's moving.
Thank you, my family.
It needs to be
Make
shared.
it sooner. Don't leave it
Yeah,
too
don't
long.
worry.
Make it sooner.
We won't leave it too long. Trust me. We're a family. We're gonna keep connecting, and we're gonna keep talking. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Ubuntu.
Yeah, gara mabuga be.
Be well. Brother Oladile, please stay behind.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Be well. Have a good evening, Uncle Terry.
Yeah.
Did you end the stream yet? It's not ended.
Oh, yeah.